again, everyone. I'm John Ray. Welcome to another edition of Alpharetta Tech Talk. We are coming to you from the Business Radio X studio inside Renaissance Bank in rainy Alpharetta. I will be glad when the rain dissipates. Folks, today you're connected more than ever. Whether it's your friends, your family, or your life, Renaissance understands how you bank, offering the mobile banking services that you need. And they also know that sometimes you need to speak to real people with real answers in real offices that you can go find. And that's why they have more than 190 convenient locations throughout the South ready to serve you. For more information, go to renaissancebank.com. Renaissance Bank, understanding you, member FDIC. And now I want to turn to a accomplished guest. I've been really looking forward to having him on, Sharad Varshney, and he is the CEO of OvalEdge. Sharad.
Thank you, John. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, it's great to have you here.
Thank you.
And so for folks that don't know OvalEdge, tell them a little bit about your company and what you're up to.
Okay, yeah, sure. So OvalEdge is actually a data governance company. And you might be wondering what the data governance is.
Yes.
So just like you know that when the people used to go and used to live in caves, and when people got organized, they started having the governance structure in place, cities and counties and policies and procedures so that people can live happily.
Yes.
Similarly, now people are started using data everywhere. Earlier, nobody using data. The companies, mostly the organization. So they need to have some procedures and policies and all this information at some place so that understand that how they can use it. But thanks for the lot of regulations which is coming, like CCPA, which is in California, GDPR, which is in Europe. And today there was an article in the NPR that they are going to have probably the state-wise regulations, and then maybe the national regulation might come about the data.
Sure.
As well. So they are creating more formalized policies and procedure for companies to take on. So that's where they created the market opportunity for us, and that's in the business of data governance.
Wow, a lot there, Sharad. So before you even get to regulation, though, a lot of companies have grown substantially, a lot by acquisition. They have legacy systems that sometimes they've forgotten where they are, right?
You're absolutely right.
Yeah, so part of it is just organizing, and I think is you use the term cataloging that data.
Exactly. So what we do is our software does it. So I think it's just like Google does it, right? So Google crawl various websites. Mm-hmm. They put it into their search engine, and then they put some sort of an algorithm and then give you a search interface to organize the data. Mm-hmm. It does something similar, but instead of website, we crawl the databases, and then we put it in our data catalog. And then we put a lot of algorithms into it so that we organize it nicely and cleanly. And then we give user interface to end users so they can look after where the data is. And then we put some policies and procedures, just like Google does it. Just similar to that. And our software does the same policies and procedures, which you have to configure within the software.
Sure.
So that when you are searching the data, when you are looking around the data, so that none of the bad data can go to you.
Right. And so part of the reason for this is different parts of the company, different people in the company have different access levels that they should be allowed.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. And that's where when we implement the software, we run workshops with them to try to understand what kind of policies and procedures they're going to have it. And then we configure that in our product. And that's where allow them to get access to different level of data.
What is I know the answer to some of this is you've really kind of given some of it, but what's the problem you're solving beyond just finding data and governing that data? I mean, keeping that data secure and in the right place.
So this is a very major problem for every organization. So if you see that every organization want to be data dependent nowadays, especially after Amazon's success and Google's success. The success for Amazon is not because they have a phenomenal CEO. The success of them is that they are able to use the data underneath it and able to know that what the John Ray want to buy, right? So how do we they were so successful in using the data everywhere in their organization, and give you the example of that. They even track the mouse click of how you are clicking it, right? So they, based on different kind of data elements, they merge everything together and put it in form of recommendation to the end users. So that gives them opportunity to learn more about from user behavior and everything. Now, all these companies are trying to figure out that how to do that, the same work. Right. What Amazon is doing, but different from their perspective. The banking is doing from their perspective. The healthcare is doing from different perspective. So when they want to leverage the data, the first major problem is that what data to use, which to trust, what to not trust, right? Where is the right information is. And that is where the problem is. The finding and understanding the data is much bigger than we realize that. Right. If you think that's just a search engine, Google, what is it solving? It's just solving the problem of giving the right information at the right time. So
yeah, and that's really good, because what you're describing, Sharad, is something much, much more than just being in compliance or either inside the company or outside the company with regulators. What you're describing is creating revenue opportunities for companies, right?
Exactly. So either creating revenue opportunity or minimizing the cost.
Yeah,
it's sure. Either way. It's either we affect the top line or the bottom line of the company. But it have to come into the larger picture of their data strategy of the company. What exactly the strategy for the company for the data, and based on that, how do we fit OvalEdge into it, and where exactly they see that where the data catalog and the data governance fits into it. It's the critical component for the data strategy for the company if they want to build it.
We're speaking with Sharad Varshney, and Sharad is the CEO of OvalEdge. Sharad, I don't know if this question's going to come out right, so bear with me.
Yeah, sure.
But I suspect that when you go into some of your clients, you probably find data they didn't know they had. But not only that, but connections with pools of data that maybe and enlightenment that comes out of that they didn't realize they had. I mean, actionable intelligence, I guess, is maybe the word.
Exactly. So you're right. Means, so what kind of data we can find.
Mm-hmm.
So that there are two kind of problems are there. So the organization, when they are looking to find the data, right? So
sure.
Before finding it, you have to organize it first. So what we are seeing is most of the time our implementation is more around organizing it so that users can really find it easily. So we haven't reached to the level where we want to be, that people are creating a lot of value after using the data and really creating the value. Of course, we have a lot of success stories where we are able to define that where the data is coming from, where it is going, so they are able to save the money and the dollar amount by reducing the number of people who is exactly involved on the day-to-day task of it. So after doing the automation on that, what we call a data lineage, they're able to do it much more faster and quicker. So this is a complete process. So success of the company depends the success of our product, right? So that is a critical part of the data. The data digitization of the company, or whatever the path they are doing. So it's a much longer product, much longer cycle of a company to do the complete data, the data overall.
Right.
So that is where the successes of the company is going to come up. But we do see a lot of, what you call it, is a kind of a aha moment.
Right.
When we see when we implement the product, it's, oh my goodness, I didn't know there's a relationship exists from one system to another system.
Right.
So those are the aha moments
Sure.
companies, users are getting, which is using our product, which is mostly the data analyst, data scientist. And they get really excited by looking all this data at their fingertips.
Right.
Where they use it, like not using it. Now, what the models are going to create after that, and what kind of opportunity they're going to take it from there, that ultimately depend upon their initiatives of the journey and how they're going to implement that. So we are kind of an enabler of the tool to enable data scientists and data engineers to find more data, understand it, and what they come up with the new ideas, it's up to their imagination and their understanding of that.
So you're really delivering a lot more value to clients than what they expected.
Exactly.
When you walked in the door.
Exactly. So generally it starts from governance and the compliance, because this is a painkiller. They are looking for something to see the, they need this tool and solution. So we start from there, or sometime from the, what we call it, they are really struggling to find the data lineage, where the data is coming from, where it is going. So those are the two things where we start as a painkiller. And then when they roll out the implementation, which is the data finding and understanding of it, that is where the real value is. But people still do have a way to find the data with the traditional ways. For example, they can go send an email to somebody, and then email can forward it to one person to another person. Because in the organization, it might, after 7 or 8 days, they might get to the data. And they're still doing it. It's not that they're not able to find the data. Now they come to OvalEdge and they go, okay, where is my customer data? Here is your data. So we are converting like 7-day cycle to a few seconds.
Sure.
But again, but they were still able to do it before. It was just taking longer time.
Right.
So it's not that we are solving a problem where you cannot do anything before without OvalEdge.
Right.
We can do it much more faster and efficiently. So that is the value which they are getting. But ultimately, the value, which is a lot more value, is it comes in the compliance side. They're compliant. Otherwise, if they are not compliant and the auditor comes in, the GDPR have a 4% of the revenue of the penalty. So
that's serious.
That's serious. If you have a $40 billion revenue of a major company, you can be charged up to $4 billion penalty.
Oh my
Not
gosh.
the 10%, but the 4% is a lot of an amount. So in OvalEdge, if they implement it, the auditor comes in, they click a button, and all this data is there at one place.
Wow, that's pretty awesome. So Sharad, I want to switch gears for just a minute. Let's talk a little bit about your journey. And I mean, OvalEdge was founded in 2013, but kind of tell us a little bit about you and what led up to that.
Yeah, so my journey is as a typical immigrant. So I got immigrated from India. I'm pretty well educated in India. It's one of the top schools I went to, and then I came here and doing pretty high end consulting work, and mostly in the nuclear utilities. But when you want to do entrepreneurship, you got to do it.
Sure. Right.
So I left the company, which I was working at the high paying job, and just left it. And then, now I'll start my own.
Were you here in Alpharetta?
Yes. Okay. I was in Alpharetta.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. So we left the company, started on, and didn't know what to do. I thought I'm pretty smart. I can do in the data area, the big data, the buzzword, and started the company, named it, and couldn't know what to do. So, and have some idea that what should we doing, but it was too complex. So I took a break a little bit and I joined a data company, which is a Hortonworks, which was at that time. Now it is merged with Cloudera. It's a $5 billion company right now. It's a startup at that time. So joined that, and my job was to go and do consulting only for 2 weeks or 3 weeks there. And basically I learned a lot from different customers going to the pain point what they're doing. But they were doing the same thing, just what we are doing now, but they are doing differently. They were moving all the data at one platform, moving it. So it was a lot of IT heavy spending they were doing.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So because if you have a 1 petabyte of data, you have to create the clusters of data.
Sure.
At one server, the physical giant server. And they were not doing any governance and organization of the data, just moving the data. So I realized the need at that time that once you move all the data at one place, you gotta have the governance and the cataloging of it. So that's time I did 2 years and then found it, then basically switched back the gear into OvalEdge and then kind of started working on and developing the product.
Wow. That's a fascinating story, because what you basically are describing is a situation where someone else was basically this other employer was helping you make a pivot, really, right? And helping you do some customer discovery that created that pivot.
That's true.
Yeah.
And we pivoted at least 3 times in the company, in the journey of the company. So once I founded it and I didn't know what to do. So that is the first pivot, you can say it. The second time, we know that what we have to do the data cataloging. So we were pretty sure about that. But we pivoted within the data cataloging. So the first we were doing mostly focus on the big data centric. So we were focused only that, okay, once the data is landed at one place, then do the cataloging on that area. But we realized that not many company was ready to spend that much heavy amount of dollars to do the cataloging at one place. So we pivoted at that time. They said, okay, we were not going to do only on big data. Let's do every data and we collect only the metadata, which is data about the data. So we started collecting the data about the data. So our footprint is very small that way. So what we are collecting is comparatively small information, but having the same access to the users as they were doing it before. So we become a better solution than the data lake solution where you used to move all the data.
Oh, wow.
So that's kind of help us quite a bit. So that pivot is very important for us. That has created a lot of opportunity in healthcare, telecom, banking, every sector that you do not have to move all the data. I don't have to spend a $2 million or $5 million worth of infrastructure right there in order to move this, just to create the infrastructure. And then obviously a lot of dollars to do that.
Oh, wow. That's awesome work. Now, you have been in Alpharetta here for quite some time, both working for another big company and then as an entrepreneur. Talk about what being in the Alpharetta area has meant to you and your company.
So we moved in 2006 to Alpharetta. So it's been now 14 years.
Okay.
Yeah. And since we moved in, and this is being a great opportunity, great home. And then we started to have the company here. So that's being there, but it's easy to find. I met my co-founder here. So that is another area. He also lives in Alpharetta, Fulton County, a little bit north of that. And then it's an environment which is the community. We started in Tech Alpharetta, right? Which is one of the things which is help us a lot to give us the mentors, and it's an incubation center. It helps us a lot in this area, and in order to grow the company to that level where we are right now. That's the pivot point of, frankly speaking, that help us quite a bit.
That's wonderful. Shout out to Tech Alpharetta.
Yeah. Definitely.
Awesome. That's great. That's great. So, Sharad, talk a little bit back to OvalEdge itself. Talk a little bit about maybe some success stories. I'd love to give you an opportunity to talk about some real life examples of what you've done.
Yeah. So, for example, like one of our customer is a global, I would say the consulting company, but not outsourcing company. So they basically, people come to their platform. They're a startup out of Silicon Valley. So people come to their platform and they can ask for anybody to ask a recruiter, or they can ask for short time employment. So people go, like we go to that website and say, okay, hey, give us do you have somebody who can write our website? I say, okay, yeah, writer. Or any kind of freelancing, you can do it on that website. So they have the customers or their customers around the globe, as well as people around the globe. So they need to comply with every regulation in the planet, whether it's a CCPA or GDPR or every regulation.
Sure.
So they are like, okay, we have to do all this work, and they have altogether somewhere about 100,000 different data attributes, which they want to classify and tell that, whether they're under governance or non-governance.
Sure.
And now 100,000 fields and data attributes, how would they classify them? So they went to our product, and then they use a 3-week time frame to classify them. But that in organization, nobody works in 3 weeks. So everybody work on the last minute. So,
of course.
So on the last week, everybody jumped into the product and they classify all the data at our 100,000 different data attributes. They were able to classify using our product, and there is a lot of algorithms are there to help them to classify it faster. Machine learning is there. So basically those kind of tools they use to classify about 100,000 different data attributes, and they classify them whether they are coming under compliance or not. And now they are self-service in the sense that whenever the new attributes comes in, the alert goes to their users. They're able to, yes, this we need to classify or not classify. So everything under compliance. That is the regulation. That is a compliant work. They have to do it. And now they're going after even further. They are implementing, even if some customer asks them to delete their information, our product is providing that everything about John Ray. And if in one click, they can go, okay, give me all the information about John Ray. And they can press a button about John Ray, and here you are. Everything about that information.
Oh my!
They can use this.
Yeah, that will cause a screen to melt right there. But pulling that up. But and that has real. Again, I mean, it's a bottom line world. I mean, that has real bottom line impact for a company, both, as you say, both expense wise and revenue wise.
This means otherwise. The first thing is that it is very difficult to quantify the ROI for our product. The reason being there are so many problems exist in the data world. So it's the one thing, although we deal with the data, but it's hard to put the data on our data, so what the value we are doing. But the one thing is that they are compliant, 100% compliant, which is and they don't have to worry about the penalties and something. So that is, if you think about the company's revenue is about $1 billion. 4% of that is a risk avoidance.
Right.
So that is the number one value proposition. And even to find the data, if they want to do it without us, it will take them a week of worth of research of somebody doing it manually. Now they can come to our system, press the button, and get it. So those are the right real life value which our customers are getting from our system.
Well, it seems to me, Sharad, that if you're able to, just as a baseline of customer satisfaction, solve the data governance problem, and then come around later or as part of the process and surprise and delight with creating connections with these data clusters, that's a pretty awesome place to be.
That is where it is. It means the companies are realizing the value when they implement our solution, that, oh my goodness, this is a treasure.
Yes, you're right. Right.
Because even we are realizing as a company that how much treasure our system have it. Because we don't have access to the customer's data as a company. But when they realized and they walked through it, they realized that, oh my goodness, that the use cases after use cases are coming out of it. Because one thing our product provides is that all companies' data is nicely cataloged at one place, and their data scientists have to have the nice imagination to come up with the creative ideas to whether they create a recommendation engine for their customers or whether they create any other kind of value for their customer. Ultimately, the data needs to be delivered in a right value proposition.
Sure.
Like Amazon is doing that in terms of the recommendation. Right. Netflix is doing in terms of recommendations, right? You can watching the movies and I want to watch this movie or that movie. So that's kind of personalization of services can only be created by data scientists who knows the business really well. And that's where the value of the product is there.
That's awesome stuff from Sharad Varshney, and Sharad is the CEO of OvalEdge. So let's talk a little bit about the company and kind of like where you are in the development of the company. You've tapped the private equity market. Talk a little bit about that and kind of where you see your development here over the next few years.
Yeah, sure. So right now we owned by a kind of a holding company, which is Accient, which is about umbrella of 9 companies altogether. So which gives us a lot of financial stability to scale the company. And since that, we are in scalability mode since they have started putting the money into the product. So right now we have one center in Hyderabad, India, which is most of our engineering is. We have people here in Alpharetta. We have some colleagues in Washington area as well and Boston area. So we are trying to scale because there is, I hope that there is a lot of enough skilled people about the data governance in this whole world.
Sure.
But there are none. So we are having a hard time scaling and finding the people who knows data governance. And that's the real challenge we are having these days.
Right.
So I think, being said that, this private equity is really helping us. The name is Accient, and it's basically jointly owned by 2 companies. One is FutureTech, which is out in Norcross. Another one is a Calgary-based company called Alaris. So Alaris is a New York Stock Exchange listed company. It's a private equity. And FutureTech is a Atlanta-based not a private equity, but say they call it a holding company.
Sure.
And then there's a Axion, which is another holding company, which basically owns our company.
Lots of different ways we could go with this, but I'm really curious what kind of advice that you would give folks coming behind you, startups coming behind you, because you've got some big issues that you've overcome. I mean, one is the pivots you've done, that you successfully executed, and then dealing with very large enterprise companies as customers, which has to be frustrating when you're a startup and you're looking to build a revenue stream, right?
Definitely. So one thing I think that biggest learning for me is how do we do the marketing? We spend probably not a single dollar on marketing in terms of that, but we're getting quite a bit lead just without any marketing. But what we are doing is a lot of education to the market. As you said, that not many people know about the data governance. So we have blogs out on data governance, what the data governance really means. We're educating people about the subject area, and that help us build the credibility into the market. What we have seen quite a bit is to not to do. So there are to do's and not to do's. What we realize is that not to go to too many CIOs and ask them the problem. They tell the world biggest problem, they have it, and it's hard to difficult to solve it. Because the problems in the CIO, because we've been through it. We've been through it when we were struggling, and we were going to the every CIOs. And the good part is about the Tech Alpharetta and the community which we have it, is we were able to go to a lot of CIOs, a lot of the high level executives. They were telling all the problem, which give us a lot of experience to learn about the problem, but it doesn't provide you the exact detail how do you want to go it. And that is the intuition of the founder needs to be to found the product market fit. That what is something you can really sell and should have a proper value in it for the customers, and should find the pain areas rather than the vitamins. You need to find a painkiller which can solve the pain of the customer.
Ooh, I love that. Rather than find the vitamins, you need to find the painkiller.
Exactly. So
that's the quote of the day, Sharad. I love that.
Yeah. So finding the painkiller is the key. Because that's where the people are going to the doctor. Otherwise, nobody goes for vitamin. Vitamins are sold, a lot of vitamins are sold, but with the heavy marketing, which startup doesn't have the funding for it. Right?
Right.
So this don't mean that once you get the funding, then you can create a vitamin market. But before the funding, you have to find at least some area which is really customers' pain and solve that with a smaller value proposition, but a unique market, a unique sense, and then solve that.
Wow. You've blown me away with that wisdom. That's fantastic.
Thank you.
Great words, Sharad, and startups out there. I hope you're listening. So, but before we're going to wrap it up here, but before we do that, I want to make sure we give a little opportunity for a commercial to talk about the clients that are good fits for you. I mean, who are clients out there that that you're really looking for?
So what we have seen is we are seeing a lot of great traction in healthcare market. We have a couple of customers who are really large hospitals and having like 50,000, 10,000 different employees. So those are the healthcare segment is a key area, as well as banking. We have quite many banks who are our customers. So the banking and the finance and the healthcare and the fintech. Fintech is another area where we are seeing a lot of traction. These three companies are struggling with the data issues. And does not mean that not these three issues. Like every industry is struggling with the data issue. We are kind of a horizontal platform, but these areas are really well suited for us because we have all the connectors and everything information, whatever these technologies uses. These companies use the technology. We have the connectors for them. So it's easy to scale in that three areas.
Awesome. Sharad Varshney with OvalEdge. He's the CEO of OvalEdge. Sharad, this has been great. Been great to have you here. So,
thank you, John.
Yeah, but before we let you go, for those that have heard something here they'd like to be in touch with you on, would like more information on OvalEdge, tell them how to be in touch with you.
So yeah, I mean, my email is svarshne@ovaledge.com, and you can go to the ovaledge.com and just send an email, and then email is the best way these days to get in touch. Or there is a Twitter handle is Sharad VAR. You can reach me on Twitter handle, or basically email is the best way.
Yes. Awesome. Yeah. Awesome. Sharad Varshney with OvalEdge. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you, John. Thank you so much for having us.
Glad to have you here. Folks, if you've got some frustrations that involve administrative tasks or bookkeeping, accounting, maybe marketing, presentations, workshops, lots of headaches that could be lying in there, well, go engage a smart and reliable Office Angel. They're not a temp agency or a placement firm. Office Angels matches your business support needs with angels who have the talent and experience necessary to fly in, help you maintain and grow your business on an ongoing or as-needed basis. Your terms, your timeline, they lend a hand when needed, and then they fly off when the job's done. Find out more at officeangels.us or call Chief Executive Angel S.E. Escobedo at 770-442-9246 and tell Essie you heard about her from us. So, folks, just a reminder, you can listen to this show every Thursday live at 11:30, or if you miss any of our live shows, or you would like to hear some that you missed, some other ones, well, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, TuneIn, Spotify, Overcast. Do I need to keep going? Not really. We're on most of the major podcast apps. If they're major, we're on it. You can also go online to Alpharetta Tech Talk.com. You can find all our shows there as well. And connect with us on social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter. We're there. We post all our shows there on North Fulton BRX. So for my guest, Sharad Varshney, I'm John Ray. Join me next time here on Alpharetta Tech Talk.